Cage Minds, Micah Frankel, shout out to St. Pius Wrestling and Coach Argueta for allowing us the use of his office. Quite the practice I just got to see, and it was involving UFC Featherweight Danny Silva. Sir, thank you for the time. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm happy to be out here with Dan and with everybody from St. Pius. It's a great room. A lot of good wrestlers, a lot of killers. I got to get pushed today.
A lot of people know the notoriety for you with your striking, with your boxing acumen. How deep your wrestling roots go?
I mean, I started wrestling when I was 8, so I think I have pretty decent roots. My brothers wrestled in high school ever since they were kids too, and then they just kind of put me in an age grouping program since I was a child. So I could hold on with anybody.
Was that following in the footsteps with your brothers, or was that more just like, this is the family tradition?
It was more of the family tradition. I think it was just something for us to do. We're in high school, and then it was already hard for us to continue boxing. So wrestling was really like something for us to really endure and be with our coaches and somebody that was constantly pushing us. Me and my brothers grew up without our dad, so being in the wrestling room was like our safe space to grind, and it became like a family thing. Everybody knew us there.
You also brought up boxing there, so boxing was also an influence in a young age?
Yeah, my brothers, they taught themselves how to box, and they kind of forced everything for me to do it, and they were having me get in fights. They would take me to the wrestling room, and then they'll make me put on the gloves. It was always constantly like they were making sure that my hands were going to be good and I was going to be a wrestler, so I was going to be complete, at least in that area. They felt like that was going to be the most complete fighter for them. It was a wrestler, boxer.
So was it always just their design, or did it also, at what point did it become your ambition?
It was definitely their design in the beginning, but the ambition came when I met my manager, Kami, which was Cub's manager, and he passed away in 2020, but he was the guy that first saw me, and he thought that I could go far in MMA, so he kind of was the one that pushed the UFC and everything for me to become a complete fighter, started adding jiu-jitsu, started adding kicks, and just be a little bit more well-rounded.
Where'd you two come across each other?
So there was a gym called Tomaselli Academy in Costa Mesa. I went in there just to do jiu-jitsu. I wanted to compete in some tournaments, and they invited me to go and spar the week that I was trying it out for. I went in, I did really good against their coaches, and they told me to come in the next week. They brought Kami, the manager, and Marco Huas, King of the Street, if you guys know who he is. He's a legend. He was the one that was vouching for me, was telling Kami, like, hey, this kid is good. You should try to sign him. So within 2 or 3 months that I was already training with them, they got me a fight. And it just I went undefeated as an amateur, and then I took 2 L's, and then I won, and then I went pro, and then, I'm in the UFC now.
So you go from the wrestling room with your brothers, a little bit of boxing, and it kind of kickstarts this journey. Did they know what MMA was? Were they just trying to make you able to handle yourself? Did they have this full plan of where it could go, giving you these skills?
The thing is that in my family, we've always had a rivalry from the side of my dad to the side of my mom's. So we always wanted to be a complete fighter, not just boxers. So on the side of my mom's side, they're really good boxers. And the side of my dad's side, we were wrestling. So my brothers wanted to be both. So when my brothers came and they were, training themselves, they figured hey, we could do this with our little brother. And it wasn't so much for the UFC or MMA in general. It was just for us to be better than the side of my mom's side, and it was just to be better than them. And it kind of just, without trying, they created me.
Was it kind of surprising then to you when you find MMA and you're like, oh shit, I kind of been putting together the tools to be able to do this?
It was weird, because then I was doing things that they were teaching me, but then I was going to do it naturally. I didn't have to practice it so many times, because I was already, without really trying to practice it, I was always practicing it. And then as I put everything together, it just fell into pieces so well. It was a perfect puzzle for me. and it just made sense for me to continue on that journey of MMA because it just felt like I was built for it, and like I didn't want to just be a straight boxer, and I didn't want to be just a wrestler anymore. It felt like I knew two things, and I'm like, I'm gonna be wasting this. So it makes sense for me to continue on this journey that without them trying, they created me. So
Contenders, some time in LFA, Contender Series, UFC. As we're recording this, does it hit you yet? 2 years on the UFC roster.
Yeah, being in the UFC for 2 years now is just it's been a shocker. I still kind of get that imposter syndrome of, man, am I supposed to be here kind of thing. And everybody believes in me, and I see it now, and I'm like, man, you guys are right. I need to continue on this path. Like, everything is happening for a reason. I'm not lacking in a lot of tools, so I just need to keep refining things. And IQ is basically the biggest part now, being in the UFC, just outsmarting your opponent. Everybody's already tough, everybody can take a punch, everybody already knows how to do everything, so it's just you kind of tricking them with your IQ.
About 30, 45 minutes into being around Danny, I got to shout out his brothers for this one. I was like, damn, look at this head movement. It's just ridiculous. It's next level compared to what you see out of most high level MMA fighters. That's some great fundamentals to have that defensive awareness.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely has improved a lot more. I haven't always just had this amazing head movement, but I've always figured that I just can't let them have an easy target. I grew up watching Oscar De La Hoya, Salvador Sanchez, even Chavez, guys that were getting hit, but they were slightly turning their head away or just kind of going with the punches. So it made sense for me to try to keep practicing that, and I practiced this so much with Cub. Me and Cub would do 45 minutes of just one round of us sparring and play sparring, and it's just us practicing with our hands down and trying to make him miss, and he's doing it back to me, and just every single day we were doing that, and it just made me so much better with my head movement. And having someone like Cub that already has good head movement as well, it was like a perfect thing for me to watch and replicate too.
And not to mention the head movement, but you got the perfect complement to it with the footwork. Seeing that also later on in practice, was watching you pivot, the shuffle steps. How natural is it having those fast feet and making those quick decisions on angles?
So the funny thing about that is that people have always said that I have good footwork, and I have good angles. And the thing is that I've never actually I don't even do ladders, or I'm practicing so much with my footwork. What helped me a lot was because I boxed ortho, but when I wrestled with my right leg, so it was southpaw. So I taught myself how to spar and strike as a southpaw and ortho. And then I just figure if I constantly keep switching my legs, if I'm switching, creating angles, it made it so much easier for me. But because I was already really fundamentally good in boxing and fundamentally good in wrestling and opposite legs, it just made sense for me to constantly be switching and alternating from wrestling to boxing. And then as I got better, it was just natural. I could strike with both legs, I could wrestle with both legs, and it felt like a perfect puzzle. And I'm like, man, like my body was literally created to eventually blend.
You got all these blending styles. We just saw that in a crazy fight inside of the octagon. Normally, you guys would have won fight of the night, but I think for my money, the best Apex fight night of the year. You get 3 of the wildest fights possible. What do you take away from what is a setback on the scorecards, but was an incredibly close, entertaining fight?
I mean, it was small adjustments. I definitely felt like the fight was very close, arguing against the scorecard. But I felt, and I knew he felt, that the fight was very close towards the end of the fight. And, going on from that, I feel like it wasn't too much of a setback because people got to see how Vallejos was a big hype, has, first round knockouts. And, I went in there and I went all 3 rounds, and not once was I hurt. I got to display my footwork, I got to display my head movement, and I got to display that, a power puncher like him, being compared as like the next Ilya Topuria and, whatever, a great boxer. it showed that, you know, I'm right there with the best. And it was just simple mistakes that I could have done better in. And, you know, we're going to get it back in the next fight.
Everybody loved the performance. Heck of a great fight. That was just in August. So what kind of timeline are you looking for to want to get back in there?
Yeah, right now we're talking about early November. So in my head, I'm already training for early November.
Danny Silva, it's literally great getting to see your career.
Thank you.